But whenever my mom looked at herself in the mirror, she fat shamed herself. She said, "Oh gosh, I got to get on another diet. Oh, I'm going to just not eat lunch here because I'm watching my weight." And that gets soaked in.
I have such a distinct memory as a child of opening the cabinet in the kitchen, and Scotch tape to the inside of the cabinet was always some diet,
Wow.
whether it was Weight Watchers or whatever was at the time. I mean, Weight Watchers sticks in my mind, but I think there
Yeah.
were a few others at the time. And, you know, I could look at that in two ways, right? I can say, well, my mother should have known better and she shouldn't have exposed both of us to, diet mentality. No,
Mhm.
that's not what happened. What happened is that she was so dissatisfied in her own body and all the messaging that she got from the outside world, internally, externally, and that's how she thought she'd fix things. I think if she could have possibly known
The
that that would be
impact.
something that would impact me every single time I opened the cabinet,
Mhm.
she would have done things differently.
Jenny, I am super excited today to talk about mothers and daughters. And just as we were chatting, just before we hit record, you said something that, of course, sent me into peals of laughter, which often happens when we're hanging around and chatting. So start us off with the classic line.
Well, I don't know if it was Woody Allen. Somebody must have used this phrase in a lot of therapy. The phrase goes, if it's not one thing, it's your mother. And so, I think mothers take a very, very big and bad rap for
Hmm.
everything, including the onset of disordered eating in their children.
Yeah.
I think we have to have a very responsible conversation about all the things that affect what causes what we're calling disordered eating at all ages. And it ain't just parenting. And let's also start thinking about those parents, both parents really, as their own victims of diet culture and other factors, which I'm sure we'll get into.
Yeah. And it's really important. I want us to look at both sides, like how we can get into mom blaming. But also, you and I both sat with countless women talking about what they learned from their mothers and how their relationship with their body and their relationship with food is informed by what they saw, how they saw their mother talk to themselves in the mirror, right? Often women will say to me, "No, nobody said anything about my body." But whenever my mom looked at herself in the mirror, she fat shamed herself. She said, "Oh gosh, I got to get on another diet. Oh, I'm going to just not eat lunch here because I'm watching my weight." And that gets soaked in.
I have such a distinct memory as a child of opening the cabinet in the kitchen, and Scotch tape to the inside of the cabinet was always some diet,
Wow.
whether it was Weight Watchers or whatever was at the time. I mean, Weight Watchers sticks in my mind, but I think there
Yeah.
were a few others at the time. And, you know, I could look at that in two ways, right? I can say, well, my mother should have known better and she shouldn't have exposed both of us to, diet mentality. No,
Mhm.
that's not what happened. What happened is that she was so dissatisfied in her own body and all the messaging that she got from the outside world, internally, externally, and that's how she thought she'd fix things. I think if she could have possibly known
The
that would be
impact.
something that would impact me every single time I opened the cabinet,
Mhm.
she would have done things differently.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to like piggyback on that story. When I was 9, my mom took me to Weight Watchers with her. Weight Watchers had started early 70s. It was the way to be healthy. My mom had dealt with her own sense of not having the right body, not being tall and thin, and always wanting to do something. And so here I was at 9 years old, which is a very normal age for a young girl's body to start changing. It
But
is
of course,
natural, right? To
of course.
gain weight, to change shape. You're stepping into puberty. So here I was getting a nice sort of roundy, smushy body. And my mom's like, we could fix that. Not in a malicious way, but let's go to Weight Watchers. We'll do it together,
Mm,
which then, of course, started a lifelong dieting pattern.
of course. And I hear that loudly and clearly. I mean, think of it as a fear response.
Mm-hmm.
If your parents saw you in danger, they would want to save you. They would
Yes.
want, and so what do they think of? I mean, I'm imagining, some, well, God, I suffered my whole life, so let me not have you suffer. What did you suffer with? Oh, I didn't like my body. Oh, and
Mm-hmm.
how else did you suffer? Well, I was in a body that was bigger than I wanted it to be. So I don't want you to suffer the slings and arrows of that. Let me make sure your body doesn't get big.
Right. And to put it into perspective, also specifically, our mother's generation and their mother's generation, where women didn't have the same power in society, where clearly we still have a problem with that, but it
Right.
was worse, right? Where you couldn't buy your own house, where you couldn't open your own bank account, right? Where a woman's power was linked with who you were attached to. Well, who you were attached to was linked with how, and I'm putting this in quotes, little air quotes, how attractive you were, how slim you were. So your body was basically your meal ticket, your survival. So much pressure, right? When you said, I love that thing, like, oh, if I could save you. So here I am as a mother, I'm going to save my kid and I'm going to give them the gift of having a lot of social currency by having the perfect cultural ideal of beauty, and then all will be well.
Yes, and when we take this out of the realm of disordered eating and body image and all of that for just a moment, parenting has no manuals, right? I mean, there are some books you can read, that's nice, but there's no real manual. You're on the ground, you're doing what you need to do, and mostly it's in reference to either doing exactly what was done to you or exactly the opposite of what was done to you.
Mhm.
Either way, it's in reference to your own parenting that
Yep.
you received, and so on and so on and so on and so on. And so it's important to mention this word, intergenerational trauma. Now, to be clear, I don't mean necessarily that you can traumatize someone by parenting them. We assume that everybody absolutely goes into this with the best of intentions and does the very best job they can.
Mhm.
And there are things that precede the birth of that baby by decades, even preceding the birth of the parent by decades. If I can give one small example of something, which I think touches on the cultural piece as well. This goes back maybe 25 years ago, 20 years ago. I had a client who was an early 40s young woman, and she was in, ultra Orthodox Judaism, and she had never been married, which in that culture right away was something that, had people look askance at her. In addition to that, she was severely anorexic. And it was very, very hard, to treat her. But she told a story that stuck with me and will stay with me forever. I'm changing it a bit so that it's not recognizable, but the story was that she was maybe 4 years old and her mother made her a dress. And she asked her to put it on, and she stood on some box in front of a mirror because her mother wanted to see what it looks like. And this young woman at the age of 4 burst into tears. She hated how it looked. She didn't like how she looked in it. She thought it was the wrong thing for her. And her mother slapped her across the face and said, "How could you cry?" Now, her mother was a Holocaust survivor. I left that detail out. And said to her, "How could you cry over this? This is not something you cry over. There are more important things to cry over." Now, can we blame her mother, who literally was a Holocaust survivor herself, maybe 20 years earlier at that point, and she did what she thought was the right thing. It was something that created a path from that
Yeah.
moment on, at
Yeah.
least as far as she could tell.
And I think that there's a connect the dots that needs to happen, which is, yes, that mother had an effect on that young girl. And absolutely, it's important to go, wow, my mom's trauma, her parents' trauma, my mom's behavior, how she ate in front of me, how she dressed, what she said impacts me. And it's still my responsibility to do the work of healing. That if we just go, it's my mom's fault, right? Like, let's just blame the mom, then it blocks us from being in a relationship, healing the relationship that we are currently having with our own body and food. So, like, I don't want to go like, okay, well, they did the best they can, end of story. No, nor do I wanna go, "It's their fault, blame it all on them." It's like, yes, yes, it all happened. Yes, we can't put it, just blame them. Yes, now this is our relationship, right? When our clients sit in our offices, they're talking about how they feel when they sit down at dinner.
Yes, 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 and yes. And so let's put this into practical terms. Let's just say, we'll take this example, that you are the mother of a, oh, I don't know, 13, 14, 15-year-old. Their bodies are changing, their mood is changing, and their lives are changing. And, we'll just, for good measure, maybe they were also in the pandemic, maybe there's been some other trauma in their life, many complications. But now a mother is, you know, faced with this decision. I want my child to eat healthy.
Mhm.
Okay, the H word. Now I call it the H word because it real context matters. What do you mean by healthy?
Mhm.
Do you mean that it is low calorie? Do you mean that it's low fat? Do you mean that it has some, you know
500 million grams of protein or superfoods or
Right.
whatever it is,
Right. Again, healthy has been sort of adopted into this very
co-opted.
co-opted, even better word, into this euphemistic
Mhm.
name. What does healthy mean? Everybody's healthy is different, right? And so, again, I don't envy mothers who have to sort of watch every word they say.
Yeah.
Now, this same 14 or 15-year-old goes to get dressed to go to a party, and she's trying to emulate her friends, and she's wearing, let's say, something that is sort of form-fitting. And mom thinks, that doesn't really flatter her. It really accentuates, some lumps and bumps and blah, blah, blah. And honey, what have you thought of wearing something else, that would be more flattering? And there it is. Hiroshima bomb just dropped.
Yeah.
Because again, imagine the torture going through the mom's mind.
Yeah.
So I let her go out looking X what way? What is X what way? She's choosing how. Give her the power to choose. This is what I want to wear. Oh, so then should I just let her go out, wearing something revealing? I don't know. That's up to you.
Absolutely, and what you're getting into is how, like, in current time, if you're a mother, if you're a grandmother, what is your impact? What are you saying? What's your influence? And the thing to also understand in this generation is the incredible strength of impact of the internet, of everything they're seeing in social media. And so, whether you're a mother, an aunt, a grandmother, just a friend, women, older women, have an incredible power to counteract the toxicity of the body messaging on, like, literally in TikTok. It's called skinny talk. There's like a whole section of TikTok that just glorifies being tiny and being on a diet. So if we as women, mothers, aunts, grandmothers, friends can be the antidote, can be, wow, who you are, your own body wisdom, what you want. You are the authority here. And really teach young women the idea of body autonomy, the idea of being embodied from the inside and not this objectifying embodiment all the time, we can have incredible impact. So, in the way that our culture and we look at, oh my gosh, my mother, my aunt, my grandmother, all she did was comment on our bodies. We, as women of this culture who have more knowledge, can actually be the force of positive change.
I could not agree more. So well said. Let's put that again into practical terms, right? So phrases like, "Are you sure you want another helping?
Okay.
Are
I'm
you
just going
really
to say food
uh,
shaming. Okay.
right,
Yes.
are you
Fat
really
shaming.
are you really still hungry?
Mm-hmm. And are you really still hungry? I want to unpack that one. It's
Please."
such a great thing because are you still really hungry is do you really have any body wisdom at all? Can you really trust your body? Is there really, like, I think I know better than you.
Yes, and so again, right, well-intentioned and
Mm-hmm.
also a product of whatever was said to them
Mm-hmm.
and immediately shaming. Yeah, I know when I'm hungry and when I'm not.
Yeah.
And by the way, what if I don't? Do you think that's gonna help regulate me? If I can't determine if I'm 12, 14, 17, whatever it is, and I can't determine between what is physical hunger and emotional hunger, do you think that by saying to me, "Are you sure you want another helping?" that that's
That's
gonna
really going to
regulate
help.
it for me? Now I'm gonna figure it out? I don't think so. I
But
don't think
Jenny, I want to expand it. It's not just like the teenagers. The women that I'm working with who are over 40 are dealing with these same thoughts and statements, but it's coming from themselves. Should I really have more? Am I really like the doubt? They've internalized those
so.
messages.
Let's use an older example, right? 4 women go out. I'm sorry, we're all making
Mm,
it women today. We know this
but
is
it
true.
is.
4 women go out to lunch, and they bring a bread basket. Everybody just kinda looks at each other. It's almost hilarious. You can see sort of the body language in the faces, and they're waiting to see, is somebody gonna take something from there? Because if they're not, I'm not. Now
Right.
what does that really mean? So let's
Right.
see. First of all, I'm denying my own hunger cue.
Yeah.
Second of all, I need the validation of the other people at this table who have nothing to do with my digestive system or my hunger cues to tell me how much I should eat and whether I should eat that because I have a fear of being judged.
Right. The comparison.
Yes. And it's just very, very damaging. So imagine if we could just be kind to each other. Imagine if we could just be kind to ourselves. Easier said than done, needless to say.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Especially as we're living in the world of Ozempic, where, you know, you see if you haven't seen somebody in 4 months, they show up at the next thing and they're almost unrecognizable, and so many triggers come up from that, right? "Oh my god, I'm so jealous. Oh my god, how did they do that?" I mean, now I really don't like how I look.
Mm-hmm. And it's not just seeing somebody who you know, it's the ads, it's the media, it's the celebrities, right? And this is impacting grown women and really disrupting their own relationship with their body. So to look at, yes, I sucked in some of these messages from my mom, from my grandmother, from the culture that I grew up in, but they're being not just repeated, but exaggerated right now in this era where we have the sort of the magic bullet, right? The magic cure, and it's being advertised to women. And the reality is young people and old, there are studies. You get off of Facebook, you get off of TikTok, you get off of Instagram after being on there an hour, and women end up feeling worse about their body.
For sure. Absolutely. I wanna take this back to mothers and daughters, right? So what about the positive things that we get from our mothers, right?
Mm,
What about the inspiration that we get, hopefully, if they're teaching us other things?
yes.
Perhaps how to cook, perhaps their love of music,
Yes.
perhaps their love of physical activity in the right context. You know, you might have a mother who's, you know, loves to move her body in whatever ways that means, right? And so she's gonna wanna share that with you and say, "Gee, do you wanna do that? You wanna do that?" That all sounds great on paper. What happens, though, is that if a mother is passing along her love of body movement purely because she loves moving her body, that is one thing. If mom passes that along because in her mind she's thinking, "Okay, if I don't make sure that they exercise, they're gonna get fat, and I don't want them to go through what I went through."
Right.
Very
Totally different
different
message.
context. And
Yes.
by the way, I do think that one of the best ways to get around this is honesty, is
Mhm.
to be able to speak about that.
Yeah.
I just simply love to move my body. Let's do that together. Let's do this together. Or, gee, have you thought about doing that? Simply because I love it, I thought you'd love it.
Yeah.
Period.
Right, and to really say what the intention is, that it's coming from a place of joy of movement, and I'm just gonna give my mother a huge shout out because sometimes I throw her under the bus with the Weight Watchers, going to Weight Watchers at 9, but my mom was, I would say, before women athletes were such a thing, she really was an athlete. It just didn't show up that way. She always bicycled her whole life. And so a big thing was taking each of her kids, I'm the youngest of four, on bicycle trips. Let's go bicycle through the Maritimes. Let's go bicycle through here, through there, right? It was her favorite things. Get on a bike and see the world.
What a gift. Think about what a gift. What a gift. First of all, that she had one-on-one time with you each,
Yes,
all right, with each
yes.
of you, right?
Yeah.
Secondly, she was doing something she loved. That is the best thing you want to emulate, is being with someone who's just doing something they love. Third of all, I imagine, built a level of confidence in all of you because cycling requires balance and it requires, especially if you're, you know, riding some distance, you need to be able to navigate. I mean, what a gift. What a
Yep.
gift.
Also the gift of resilience because with cycling comes falling off bicycles. It just they go together. And if
Yes.
some point you're going to fall off your bike for whatever reason, whether you're learning later, a car, something. And she was like, "Oh well, guess, put a band-aid on that and let's keep rolling." And the idea that our body is strong and that we can repair,
Yeah.
and so to be able to be in movement with our mothers and with that idea that it's a joyful thing and we're not moving to work off whatever we ate, which is a very painful relationship with movement that I find myself, and I bet you do too, unraveling a lot. When people are like, I don't want to go for a walk. I don't want to go swimming. I don't want to get on a bike. I don't want to. But I know I should.
Mm.
Then we have to look at what did movement get stuck, fused with?
By the way, sometimes it's just fatigue, and
Yes.
sometimes the heart of the matter is that people just get chronically not enough sleep, and so that starts another cycle.
Yes.
Bodies were meant to move. We've said this many times. If you look at any of the studies now, there is this distinction between lifespan and health span. And lifespan means, yes, we're having people live longer, but by the way, on feeding tubes. Health span is, yes, we can live longer lives, and by the way, have them still be thriving lives. And they say that, the research is really pointing to three major things that really help determine longer health span, separate from genetics, which is number one, community,
Mhm.
being with people and in different ways that you can trust and love. Two, getting enough sleep. I'm screwed. And three, I just am. And then three has to do with moving your body. That doesn't mean to live to be 90, you must run marathons.
No.
It just simply acknowledges that the body was meant to move
Yeah.
in whatever ways you're comfortable.
Yeah. And for pro-aging beliefs, right? Believing that as we age, that's a good thing. As our bodies change, that's a good thing, versus I should still have the body that I had when I was 17.
So I want to go back to, I'm going to keep coming back to this mother-daughter thing, because if we were live, I'm sure that our board would be lighting up right now with callers who would be saying, "But you don't understand."
But
Yeah, but you
mhm,
don't you don't understand.
you didn't have my mother.
I wanna save my daughter from, you don't understand the climate in which she lives and her friends circle and social media and Insta and that oh, yeah, I do understand. I do understand. And that's why we're also trying to say home base has to be the point of clarity and neutrality. Home
Safety.
and safety, yes.
Oh,
And that's hard
it is.
if you have your own which you're gonna have, your own insecurities about body size. So, for instance, again, I'll give a very concrete example. If you have a young daughter whose weight is trending up in some way, you may very well say to yourself, "Well, I it's my job. I have to make sure that doesn't happen because she's
Mm,
gonna be miserable and she'll have a whole lifetime of being in a larger body that she doesn't wanna be in, and by the way, she's gonna be made fun of, and by the way, I know I was miserable, so I wanna save her from being as miserable as I was." It all sounds
yeah.
very wonderful, doesn't it, right? However,
Painful.
that conversation, those facial expressions, the eyes that you give, the questioning about portion size, all of that will land her where you got landed.
Yeah.
The different way to go about that is to just stay curious and accepting.
Yeah.
If she comes to you and says, I'm just so uncomfortable,
Mhm.
okay, I love you exactly as you are. I think you
Mhm.
are beautiful in every way, inside and
Mhm.
out. But let's figure this out together.
Yeah. And staying curious with
Yes.
her being the expert of her body, right? How are you feeling? Tell me more about what's going on. What does that feel like for you? What's the pressure that's coming at you?
Well, Mom, what it feels like is I go to parties and all these girls are wearing really, thin, skinny dresses. And I'm just sitting there and I feel like, a tree stump. I look terrible and that's it. I'm not eating ever again.
Mhm. It's painful. And that's the thing to say. It's painful and I get it.
How many kids have I worked with where they go to parties and they know that they'll be serving pizza, so they eat a salad at home first so they won't be hungry and not eat it. How do you be present when all you're trying to do is avoid the pizza that you'd love to have
Yeah.
instead of just having the damn pizza? I mean, we've all been there. We've all been there. And there's no easy answers to this except I do want to give a shout out to something. There is a parent toolkit which exists a NEDA website, NEDA, which is National Eating Disorder Association. It is one of the things that I think points people in an interesting direction. Just don't press print because it's like 100 pages. But it's a very, very, I think, interesting path to start with.
Yeah.
But again, to be very kind and gentle to yourself for all of the influences that have been on you as a mom, as a woman, as a person, as a human, as an adult, all of those influences. And, you know, be kind with yourself first and be willing to notice your own weight stigma, your own objection to specific body sizes, because that's going to be the determining factor, I think.
It is, and I've seen over and over women who are doing the work of claiming a compassionate, caring, and nurturing relationship with their body, and as they're doing it, watching their daughter watch
Mm.
them
Mhm.
be very overt about the patterns they're watching in themselves, and that having a mother who's doing the healing work impacts the kid, right? And they're like, "Wow, I'm watching my daughter talk differently." So, yes, we can make a positive impact. Yes, we can make a negative impact. Ultimately, when it's our own body, we have to take the responsibility of doing our own healing work around our food and our body.
So well, I would add one final point, which is to be very, very discerning and careful as you choose your pediatrician and adolescent medicine
Oh,
specialists,
that's a whole other ball of wax.
isn't it? It's like a whole episode because they are well trained and mean well, and they can walk in with a whole box of weight stigma. If I had a nickel, Nina, if I had a nickel for every client that I've ever worked with where I say to them, "So what's really one of the first memories you have of being uncomfortable in your body?" "Oh, when I walked into my
Yes.
pediatrician's office who said, 'Oh, you seem to have gained some weight this summer.'" And that was that.
Or said it to the mother as though the daughter wasn't even there. "Oh, she's gained weight." That's what I've heard a lot, right? "You don't exist, you and your relationship, you're not important here." Okay.
Lots to unpack.
So much in there.
Okay. Mothers and daughters,
We're complex.
episode 2 coming up.
Clearly.
No, there's really a lot to talk about,
Yeah.
and I do wanna make sure that we have not vilified moms in any way. This is
Yeah.
really about you taking care of yourself first, put your oxygen mask on before, and really taking a close look at the messages you give yourself, because those are the messages that you will give, both positive and negative.
Yeah.
Okay,
Fantastic.
guess we'll have to leave it there.
Bye for now.